Well, as promised, I told you I'll be back with Sport On. Thank you so much for joining us once again. My name is Bernard Ndong. As usual, I'm joined by my colleague James Wakabi. Wakabi, you know, when I was just finishing the sports bulletin, my voice went because of the kind of guest that we have this evening.
I understand you. You know you're a rugby buff, eh? So for you, rugby is very close to your heart. So when you see a living legend, when you see the guy who's easily the greatest rugby player of all time in this country, I understand your voice getting...
My voice, I felt like coughing.
Like you're coughing. You're not... I understand your nervousness. And it's deserved because, yes. How many times do you see Smirti take a selfie with our guests?
Very well.
She did one tonight. That should tell you who's here.
The gravity of who is our guest this evening. Of course, we're going to have a sense of who is coming this evening on the show. And we have the legend himself, Injera. He's in the studio. Of course, he announced that he had retired from the international game a few weeks back. He'll be telling us more about why he made that particular decision and what else he has planned for his life, Wakabi.
Yes, I'm hoping he stays around the game after this because I think he knows so much. He's done so much that it would be unfair for us to not continuously go back to him and find out what do you know, how can you help the young ones. And it's one of those things that maybe we don't do as much as we should in this country. So yes, he's retired, but Mwamba and the Kenya Sevens, the Shujaa, the Lions, everyone, the Simbas, make sure he hangs around. Make sure you can tap into that gold experience and everything that he's learned and see if you can convince him to become a coach. I think he'll be a great coach.
Absolutely. And the question we've been asking you online, I don't know if you've been able to get a chance to see it. The question we ask you is very simple. How should rugby legend Injera be honored? That is the question we're asking you. Remember to use the hashtag SportOn, tag @BernardNdong, tag JWakabi, and tag NTV. Can you just share your sentiments? We'll be reading through them in the course of this broadcast. But there's been a lot of sports as well happening over the weekend. Let's reflect specifically on the Kenyan Premier League. There's a lot of action, a lot of talking points. Zoya was top at one point, or rather AFC Gor Mahia was on top at one point. Zoya dislodged them.
Yes, interesting weekend because we had a lot of interesting results. Tusker needed a result. They got one. At least they did get a point from the AFC Leopards were held to a 0-0 draw. Maybe not what they wanted. Sofapaka found a way past Wazito, as you can see, and KCB beat Mathare United. Mathare had the whipping boys in the league this season. And then, of course, you can see their Tusker having to come from a goal down to draw with Kariobangi Sharks. Bandari getting a win away from home. And one of the results of the weekend, Posta Rangers beating Kakamega Homeboys. That's not something you probably would expect, but yes, the table is shaping up. There's a lot of football happening, and I get the feeling we are starting to see who's where and which are the teams to look out for. Of course, Nzoia have been excellent. For them to be top of the table, I mean, I think that says something about them. Absolutely.
Of course, the game for Gor Mahia versus Nairobi City Stars, what sticks out for me in that particular fixture is once again the man scored in Bernard Omala.
Yeah. Omala has had an interesting season. He's the top scorer. He's doing really well. Remember, he went away abroad. It just didn't quite work out. He's back home, and he seems to be making up for lost time. I hope this prepares him because, look, ultimately, we want him to go back out abroad and do what he can do best. He's been scoring the goals. I think he's on, what, 11 now?
He's on 11 goals.
He's on 11 goals. That's not bad when you look at the conversion rate. If he keeps at it, he's going to end up on something like 20 or so, which would be great for him, a great return. And, of course, Kogalo has always been the home of great strikers. Peter Dow, George Blackberry, Michael Olunga, Medi Kagere. So he's following in a rich tradition that Kogalo has with strikers. Okay,
let's have a look at the other results. Of course, on Sunday, there's a lot of action as well happening. The big talking point was the fact that Nzoia Sugar were facing off against the AFC Leopards. A lot of interesting talking points online regarding some of the sentiments that were made by the head coach of AFC Leopards. But that game ended 0-0. Bidco United played against Kenya Police. Police won by a solitary goal. Viga Bullets, they lost to Ulinzi Stars. Zoya has been the dark horse of the season so far.
I think they are doing what Kakamega Homeboys did last season. Remember, Kakamega Homeboys last season was in within a shout until maybe 3 weeks to the end of the season. Then Tusker picked them at the line. I think Zoya are doing the same thing. If I'm honest, I think they are going to fall just short, just like Kakamega Homeboys did last season, because I think Kogalo just have that little bit extra in them to go on and do it. I think Kogalo and Tusker ultimately will end up dominating this. I'm glad you talk about AFC Leopards. The coach is an interesting character. I actually think we should have him on the show one of his fine
I thought about that as well.
Yeah, and just have a conversation with him. He sounds like quite the guy, and I've seen a lot of conversation from journalists, from people, and I just think he's interesting.
Right. Yeah. Let's take a look at the standings after the action that had transpired over the weekend to get a sense. Obviously, Nzoia Sugar at the summit because of that result against AFC Leopards. They are at number 1. They are with 28 points. Gor Mahia second. We're going through the entire standings just to give you an idea of how the table looks so far after about 12 or 13 games. And you can see there on the screen, full screen. We can be having that shortly for you to just understand. If you're an AFC Leopards fan, if you're a Kakamega Homeboys fan, this is just to remind you where your team is currently positioned. And as you can see there, the big talking point in Zoya at the summit, but separated by a point with Gor Mahia.
Yes, and Kogalo have 2 games in hand, so that should tell you if they're able to get even a win from one of those 2 games, they go to the top. Good to see KCB still in there. Tusker, for all their travels in the last few weeks, still are within a shout. They're still within striking distance. And of course, the FC Leopards down in 7th, Homeboys in 8th, and Sofapaka in 9th.
Absolutely. Now, let's focus on something else. Let's take a look at golf. Now, the Magical Kenya Ladies Open has been happening, of course, over the weekend. If you didn't know that, just still the highlights of the standings there. My director is very passionate about the Kenyan Premier League. I want to show you the second half of the table, but let's focus on golf. And remember, there's been a lot of action happening as well at the Vipingo Ridge, and where Adit Ashok was crowned the new champion. We also, of course, she's really stood out over the weekend.
Yes, there's something about people from India and this country. Magical Kenya Open a few years ago, Aaron Rai came on, won
That is for the men's.
Yes, for the men's. Now it's good to see the ladies say, you know what the men can do, a lady can do. I think she was spectacular, led from day 1 to the last day. She looks like one for the future.
Right, and one man who was there from day 1 to the final day was our very own Hilary Anekia, and this is what he was able to catch up. Here are the sights and sounds from the Magical Kenya Ladies Open.
The Magical Kenya Ladies Open brought the best of the best in ladies golf to the par 73 Baobab course at the Vipingo Ridge this past weekend. And the arrival marked the beginning of a festival, a carnival if you may. Spectators from within and outside the country flocked the Kilifi-based golf course to cheer on their favorite golfers and make merry.
We enjoyed everything, the environment, food and people, everything. And I've interacted with the new people wenye singepata pale nyumbani.
Kwa kweli mandhari nzuri, tunajienjoy hadi hapo kwa kwamba tukumekakati, lakini pia still bado kwa sababu ninapenda golf, na feel kwamba niko nyumbani, nina enjoy.
It made me feel so like I'm in Europe in a way, because you meet so many different faces, so many jovial people. They are so enjoyable, they are so friendly. As you walk like you are walking with your sisters.
Good food is the foundation of genuine happiness, and the delicacies at Vipingo did just that.
Pweza, super pweza, calamari, kila kitu shwari. Kuna mapilao, biryani, maton, zote ziko sawa.
Over 45 countries are well taken care of. Very diverse needs, but also showing the best of our culture. So we are so excited to see how this unfolds, and we are sure we've left green footprints in everybody's experience.
I did biryani yesterday. It was like, wow, I was in the Indian dishes, like, yeah. I compared it with pilau, but it's more delicious than pilau, yeah.
You haven't really experienced Vipingo if you haven't bumped into giraffes or zebras on the 9th or 10th hole.
It's a very unique experience. It's not everywhere unaweza enda you can get this kind of experience. It's rare and also very unique, and I'm sure the players love it. The kinds of feedback that we've got so far is very positive. We are operating a wildlife sanctuary here that is licensed by Kenya Wildlife Service, and they are supporting us. So golf course is part of Vipingo Ridge, and these animals are roaming freely here. So it's part of their habitat as well. So we really don't control how they move. You see, sometimes they come eat grass on the golf course, drink water, because we have streams on the golf course as well. So it happens, there's time maybe you can come, you don't find them on here, but there is another time you come, you find them, so they move on their free accord. So. And
besides the conventional khaki pants and polo shirts you often see on the course, the Magical Kenya Open brought something unique.
Just show us two designs that you have here. What is one that you think is your favorite, maybe?
What I'm wearing is my favorite. This is like our safari dress. We've sold a lot from last year, and it's not just, you can wear it to office, you can wear it to work, you can wear it for a wedding. So it's multi-purpose. And then another favorite is a palazzo. These are palazzos. Multi-size. We have like so many sizes in this. And then this is another one. We've even trademarked this. We call them shackets. Yeah, they can be worn as shirts when it's cold, and jackets. Yeah, so it's really nice.
Yeah, there you have it, folks. This is a denim. What do you call this?
This is a denim shacket.
A denim shacket. I think I should have this one. The price is quite something, but it's worth a deal. I think I'd take this one. So probably by the time I come back to Nairobi, I'll have this for myself.
And of course, let's cross the borders. That was the action from the Vipingo Ridge where it culminated on Sunday. But there's been a lot of interesting discussion online, Wakabi, regarding the English Premier League champions, Manchester City, specifically about how they have been handling their finances.
Yes, all sorts of interesting stories about it. There's a long charge sheet, a really, really big rap sheet about what they think. But most of it involves what did they declare, when did they declare it. It involves how much money that came in terms of revenue and how they paid some of the players and some of their managers, especially Roberto Mancini. So it's interesting to see what will happen in the next few months, because I think this is just but the start. The process is long, winding. It's such a long thing before you get to a decision being made, because this is just one thing is said, then you've got to create a committee that has got to listen to both sides, then make a decision, and if there's a problem, then you've got to create another committee to listen to the appeal. So I have a feeling this might go on for the better part of the next 1 year. I don't think it's a quick fix or it's a quick solution to it. But then City are always around these kind of problems. If you remember, just a few years ago, had similar problems. They've always had a problem with money and how money comes into their team. Let's just say they have creative accountants.
Creative accountants, indeed. Well, it's been an eventful 48 hours for Manchester City. They lost Tottenham Hotspur. This is what the manager had to say.
Started really well, first 15 minutes until the goal we concede. And after, I think we played a really, really good first half. And the second half was not maybe as good as the first, because there was a lot of interruptions and we could not control. But we have our chances, not a lot, but against that team that defend really well, so strong, it's not really, really easy. But yeah, the guys gave everything, and we have our opportunity to score, and we could not do it.
Right. From the beautiful game, let's focus on the oval ball. Over this weekend, of course, the Six Nations resumed, and if you're a Six Nations fan as well, it's the kind of start that you'd have wanted, Wakabi. Who would have expected Scotland to beat England?
I think that was interesting because, and we spoke about it on the radio show on Saturday, and we said, you know what, the English are trying to change. They made that change maybe too close to the World Cup. They got rid of Eddie Jones, got Steve Borthwick in, and the question was, how would he start now? The English can lose to any other team in the world. The one team they don't want to lose to are the home nations. So not to Scotland, not to Wales, not to Ireland. So for them to lose to Scotland, I think it's one of those signs that, my man, you have such a short period to get everything going. Right.
Let's listen to what both coaches had to say after that clash.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge for the tournament to win your first game. This tournament's all about momentum, but momentum gets an opportunity to keep rolling every game. So it's great now. It means that we'll be able to look ahead to next week's fixture with belief, positivity, but we'll look at the things we have to improve.
I think this is part of the growth of a team. Sometimes you go through some pain, and you don't want to, but I think there was certainly enough there on that pitch today that said, right, I can see some aspects we're working upon now, and I can also stand out and see some things we need to improve. We got ourselves.
And staying with the oval ball, of course, the guest of our show tonight is Collins Injera, the former National Rugby Sevens team, also Simba's player. He'll be sharing his sentiments regarding the reason why he decided to hang his boots. But first of all, let's just remind ourselves of who he is. He has a very, very, very illustrious career playing the oval ball. Let's have a look at what he's done in his career. These are just some of the highlights, a snippet of what he's been able to achieve in his career. Collins Injera hung his boots almost 2 weeks ago. He has been nominated. Remember, it used to be called the IRB Sevens Player of the Year, Wakabi. He was nominated. I think he was cheated out of that one.
Yeah, I was really disappointed he didn't win it, because it's the year when he won the Kenyan Sportsman of the Year award.
Yes.
I really was hoping he would do it, but he didn't win it because, again, you know, these awards have a lot more to do with marketing and placement. This is Leo Messi and CR7 all over again. Yeah, kuna kitu inafanyikanga hapo that is not the right thing, but I think they stole that one from him.
And obviously, he was part of the team that won the Singapore Sevens in 2016. A memorable victory for Kenya to date. We've not been able to replicate that same performance.
Yes, and maybe the tournament where he gave me my most memorable moment of him was in Singapore. Not in the final, but in the semi-final. But we'll talk about it in a bit.
Right. And of course, he has competed at the Commonwealth Games in 2010 in India, 2014 in Glasgow, 2018 as well in Australia. in Gold Coast, and he's also been one of the few Kenyan Olympians in playing for the national rugby sevens team when rugby was introduced into the Olympics.
Yeah, when you read that list, it almost makes me wonder, how old is Collins? Sounds like he's been around forever.
Right, let's jump straight into it. Collins Injera, first of all, thank you so much for joining us on Sport On tonight. I think the first question most people would want to find out is, what made you decide to finally hang your boots?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky question. What made me decide to retire? I started doubting myself. When I wake up in the morning, going for training, I started asking myself so many questions. And you see, this is one thing that I've never been in that situation. I've never asked myself, why do I have to go for training? And I think I just felt like it is time. The body was now, I think, speaking to me, telling me, hey, now you need to slow down. It's been many years. Just slow down. Because when I started now doubting myself and asking myself these kind of questions, which I never used to, that's when I knew I am on the brink of calling it. Yeah.
So how have the last 2 weeks been like? Like you, for the first time in how long? 17 years, 18 years, 19 years?
17.
You haven't had to wake up and think of fitness, of training, of going to the pitch, of what Kim is going to do or what Kim is demanding from you. How have they been like?
To be honest, the first week was very emotional. The emotions are all over. You are happy that you've stopped it, but then again you feel like you shouldn't have stopped it. So it was like a roller coaster of emotions. But to answer your question is, I feel good. When you wake up, you know, I don't have to run hundreds. I don't have to run suicides. I don't have to go to the gym. I mean, just wake up, chill, and just plan your day. It's easy. I think now I have time to do my other things that I've always wanted to do. So yeah, I'm feeling good about it.
Have you gotten to the point where you miss it? I know some people leave and then they miss the adrenaline, they miss the camaraderie, they miss the companionship.
Not yet. So hopefully it won't creep up on me. But yeah, like you said, it's something that I've done for a very long time. 17 years is not, I mean, playing for the national team for 17 years, it's a big thing. So I hope that it won't creep up. I think for me, at the moment, I'm just enjoying whatever it's coming with.
So not Tom Brady?
Not Tom Brady. Fingers crossed. But I'll still get involved with sports. I think I'll still have to get involved with Mwamba, which is as you know, Mwamba is my favorite club and my home club. So for me, I think I'll still continue training, because we have very many young guys who are coming up from the Mwamba team. So for me, I think it'll only be fair for me to stay there, stick around, and share a bit of knowledge here and there.
Collins, you said you've played for the national team almost like 17 years.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first game for the national team and reflecting on all those years?
Very
how
well.
You've come all these years?
Yes, I do. Because as you know, I started out with 15s. I didn't start with 7s. So my first call up was the 15-a-side. That time, I think it was the current now Tio, who was the coach. We went to South Africa. We were playing a team called Southern Spears, which was part of the top super. That time it was super 12 or something. So we went there down. We were hammered, I think 90-something nil. And I remember Dan Weku, who was the winger at that time, one of the wingers. He went to the ref and told the ref, please make sure please finish this game because our house are being burnt back at home. We can't afford to get a score of 100. Yeah.
Yes.
But I think that was my first game. And then when I came back home, that's when I got the call up from Benja, the late Benjamin Aimba, to play sevens. So actually my first sevens game was in Hong Kong. Contrary to what is going around, that I made my debut in Dubai, it was Hong Kong. My first game was against Italy, and then I played New Zealand, and since then I've just played, I don't know how many matches. I've seen the stats.
Almost 200, almost 400 and something.
Yeah.
When you played against some of these established nations, you started off, of course, playing against the Southern Spears. This is from a country that has a rugby pedigree. Playing against New Zealand, how is it for you playing against people you had watched on TV?
Of course, at first I had the nerves are there. You're afraid because these are the guys you've been watching on TV every time, and suddenly he's standing in front of you, he's pointing you. Now you have to step up. There is no hiding place. And it felt nice. I think for me, I'm always this guy who loves challenges. I've always loved taking on challenges that probably people would say you can't. So for me, I am very competitive. Since when I was a child, I think even my brother Humphrey can tell you, I've always been very competitive, even up to now. Sometimes it gets me in trouble at home. But yeah, I think that's just my nature. So for me, I think when I got in, I wanted to prove myself and even show them what even me I'm made of. So I think that is one thing that has really pushed me all along the years and made me, I think, settle in the team quite easy and quite fast. Yeah.
You speak about Humphrey, which brings me to the question of family. You come from rugby royalty in this country. You have two other brothers who've played the game. How did that help you? How did that work in getting you to where you were?
I think, of course, Humphrey is the one who started. I used to play football. A very good goalkeeper, very good striker. But I think when I joined high school back in 2001, Vihiga High School, that's when now I discovered rugby. And after that, I think it has just been rugby, like you said. I come home, I think Humphrey, by that time, he had already cleared high school. I cleared high school, yes. He was in uni. And I think one thing that really also made me also want to play, I saw him on the newspaper. He was playing, I think he joined Ulinzi, then he got a call-up while I was still in school. So you see, such things actually motivate you. And then now my smaller brother, Michael, who now came as well and played for the national team. And I mean, it's just amazing how we ended up all playing in the same field, same team. And yeah.
You know, normally, African parents, we don't sit there and encourage kids to go and play. Now, here is your father and mother thinking, we've got 3 boys who all want to play this, and they've supported you all the way to the top. I mean, when you made that record for the tries, they were in the stands. How important were they in you guys getting to the levels you've gotten to?
I think they've played a big part for us to get to where we are. As you know, my dad is more into books. Professor, he's focused. My mom is a farmer. She loves farming things. And when Humphrey was playing, I remember my mom used to ask him, every time you're coming home, you come home with either a bandage or a sling in high school. Which game is this? It's rugby. And he loved it. And we fortunate enough, we have never been told, stop, don't play this game, don't do this. They just kept encouraging. So long as it's working for you and it's making you happy. I think they supported us. They supported us throughout. My dad has always been there. I think since he saw Humphrey on TV, and then I came in and went on TV as well. I think he's one of those guys who was very. I'm sure in his close circles, he used to tell them, "Those are my boys." Yeah.
And now from there to that try, you scoring the try to make the record, to break the record, or to set a new record, and then the celebration and the furor around it. Just tell us a bit, how did it feel, all the way to signing of the lens and the stories that came after?
I think, some things you never plan. Like that one, they had planned at the beginning of the season that they'll be in London, and you see at the beginning of the season, I didn't know which leg I would break the record. It would have happened in Singapore, it would have happened in any other tournament. But somehow, I don't know how, sometimes the universe has a way of playing these things to be really nice. And they came to London. That time, as you all know, I hadn't scored, I think the previous 2 tournaments, I hadn't scored even a single try. So coming into London, I just decided, let me just play. If it happens now, it will be well and good. My father is here, my family is here. It will be really nice. And it happened. It's one of those things I don't know how to explain it. Things were just falling into place.
Tell us about another key individual, and may his soul rest in peace, specifically Benjamin Ayimba. There's something Benjamin Ayimba was able to bring out from the Kenya Sevens team. What was your own personal experience with the late?
I think with Benja, he was very, very close. As you know, he's the one who gave me my first ever call-up to the Sevens team. And I remember there was a time we were playing, it was club rugby, we were playing, I think, against Harlequins in Ngong Road. And Benja was seated on the stands. They were known these guys usually sit. And we had scored at the corner, and that time I was converting from the corner. And when I kicked that conversion, it went over. Somebody, that time I didn't know him, because I was still a rookie. I was still playing for the ESS team. And he mentioned, they told me, hey, young Tuck, endelea hivyo hivyo, you know how Benja used to talk. Endelea hivyo hivyo, wewe utakuja huku juu very soon. And true to his words, I got the call up. And when I got the national team, he was very, the coach, I was very close. We used to talk a lot. He used to tell me what he needs me to do, what he thinks that I can do, because as you know, I wasn't playing, I wasn't a winger. I wasn't a winger. Then I get the national team, now Benja tells me, by the way, one is a wing. And that time there was Teddy Omondi, Innocent Smith, those are the guys who are playing in the back line, very serious guys. And I remember in Hong Kong, at first I came in as a winger, just because I think Ted got injured. That's how I came into the wing. And since then, he just kept encouraging me, telling me, uko na mbio, wewe ukishika tu ball, toka tu nje mbio hata usiangalie nyuma. And you see, such things kept
master motivator.
Yeah, exactly. Benja had a way with players on just getting the best out of you.
You know, I asked that question because the interesting is that when he's reached his highs as a player, it was under Benjamin's tenure. 2009, he reached the semi-finals of the Rugby World Cup. It was under his tenure. The number of times that we almost reached the final was almost as well under his tenure. 2016, we won the title. It was under his tenure. We'll continue the conversation. We'll take a very short break. We're back with much more with Collins Injera.
Centum Real Estate brings to you 265 Elma 1 Apartments, the newest and most stylish development in Kasarani. Pay a deposit of 250,000 Kenya shillings and the balance in flexible installments or mortgage finance.
What am I forgetting?
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Unaweza shinda hadi milioni 2 kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number, weka 7577. Account number, weka neno Moto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000. Lipa, kisha subiri draw. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLP.
February is the month of love, and this February we've got an amazing activity for all the live music from Hard the Band. Catch the Season 3 Episode 1 live recording of the Joyrides podcast. Mark your calendars for February 18th right here at Anzana Gardens from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. Get your tickets on Kenya Buzz today. That's www.kenyabuzz.com. Tickets go for 2,000 bob for individual tickets. Lakini kama uko na ambogi of 5 people na shikana, and your only part is 7,500. XOXO, get ready to mingle.
She's my lover, lover. She's my lover, lover. Midundo mitamu vinandana tarumbeta, yote vesikika akipigiwa Maria. Midundo mitamu vinandana tarumbeta, yote vesikika akipigiwa Maria. Leo twakushangilia tukiwa nayo furaha, salamu Maria, mama wa huruma, twakushangilia.
To get Midundo Mitamu by St. Raphael Benedictine, dial star 811 star 937 hash. Skiza, Na Nation.
What am I forgetting?
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Unaweza shinda hadi milioni 2 kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number, weka 7577. Account number, weka neno Moto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000. Lipa, kisha subiri draw. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLP.
Claiming your assets is easy. Simply visit UFAA website www.ufaa.go.ke or dial *361# or visit Huduma Center near you.
Welcome back to the show. Of course, this evening we're privileged to have Collins Injera, the former National Rugby Sevens team legend. Of course, he's been sharing his sentiments regarding his background in the game and also perhaps why he decided to hang his boots. He'll be telling us more about his life post-rugby. But remember the question we're asking you as a viewer. We want to understand what do you think needs to be done to honor Collins Injera? That's the question we've been asking you. And we have some sentiments from you. You've shared on Twitter and at Facebook. Let's have a look at what you've been saying on the timeline in terms of the question. There we go. This is one that is from Facebook, and this is an individual called Titus Nikan. You say, build and name a stadium after him in his home county, sponsor a rugby academy in the aforesaid stadium, award him an honorary degree, appoint him as one of the commissioners of sports. I hope this can be screenshot and shared with the powers that be.
That sounds like someone who knows, like he's been sent by Collins. He's explained it one by what exactly you want. Then there's Chef Dangote saying, Patia retirement benefits come president. Of course, I assume that is tongue in cheek.
Yes.
Just to make sure that there's something that is coming with it.
Yes.
But yes, it's important. I think some of these things are very, very important in terms of how do we honor our sportsmen and women? And at Sawyer, at the Sawyer Awards maybe 2 weeks ago, he spoke about it and he said maybe we can start having some of the streets named after some of our greats, because we have a lot of streets named after a lot of our politicians, both in Kenya and on the continent. And then he was like, maybe you should find a different way of honoring some of the greats. And if you're talking about rugby greats, he would be right there among the first guys that you honor.
Absolutely. Of course, Collins, we were just talking about the influence that the late Benjamin Ayimba had. Yeah. There's something that keeps coming up. Culture.
Yeah.
Explain.
I think Benja was very, very big in culture. As you know, teams don't function without culture. I think once you get the culture wrong, a team won't function. And you see, for Benja, he really understood that as a coach. I think even as a player, he was one of those guys who always champions player welfare and just general culture of the team. And you see, when I came in as a rookie during that time, we had guys like Alan Onyango, Dennis Mwanja, those senior guys, Lavin Asego, Humphrey, who drove culture into us as the rookies.
What is culture? Like in that, just I want to understand.
How you behave,
okay.
How you carry yourself. When you come into a team as a rookie, there are things like initiation. There are things that you know as a rookie, you'll always be the one carrying a boombox. You'll always be the one. I think you can never be late. You can't never be late for practice. When there's a game, there's a way that everyone has their role defined. And it's just a whole lot of things that the nitty-gritties that if I start explaining, we won't finish the show. But bottom line is, I think
including
culture,
a language. They had a different coded language of how they talk to each other that you on the outside cannot understand.
Okay. Yeah. And also I think, like you said, I think the respect just cuts across how a rookie behaves when a senior guy is there and how the message is being relayed as well from the senior management all the way down to the rookie, or from the rookie all the way down to the senior management. And you see, it's one of those things that, like I said, senior players drive it. And I think over the years, probably we have been losing, I think we've been losing a bit of that. Yeah, so, and I think that's where probably we're struggling. But if you look at Benja, he had that thing, culture, like I said, we used to visit each other at home. Benja made sure each player knows where everyone stays. I should know where you're staying, I should know where you're staying, I meet your parents. You see, such things really help in terms of team bonding and just making the team work together quite well.
When you look at the team currently, and you see how we are playing, we are there, we are teetering relegation, playoff, we go through a whole tournament, we win one game.
Yeah.
What do you think is the problem? Now that you're outside, you can talk about it.
To be honest, I think the boys are really trying. These young guys, I think we've thrown them to the deep end. Like I said, the transition, I don't think, in my own personal opinion, I don't think it was handled well. Because transition doesn't happen like that. We don't have that luxury of teams like Fiji or New Zealand. You can just say, okay, get these guys out, get these guys in. And everyone still has that competitive thing. I think for us, because most of our players in Kenya started rugby quite late. either when they joined high school or when they finished high school. Some of them even started rugby when they joined universities. And you see, if you operate like that, keep saying that you remove these guys quicker and then put in like 7, 12 new guys in the squad and send them out there, we'll definitely struggle. Because at the end of the day, me mentioning culture, you need the senior guys to help drive down culture. And you see what has been happening over the years is we have guys who are supposed now to take the senior positions level. Yes, we have the senior guys. Probably I'd say it was me, Andrew Amonde, all those guys who've been there, Oscar Uma, we've been there for quite a bit. And then now you see the likes of guys who are coming through, the likes of Patrice Aguda, Michael Wanjala. There's this crop of guys which we completely wiped out. And you see, you bring in new guys, suddenly there's this gap that needs to be filled. There is no way that gap can be filled without these guys who are somewhere there in the middle. I think when it goes steadily, then we definitely have a smooth and good transition. But when we maintain probably 3 guys up, then scrap off the middle guys, put the fresh new guys in, it will definitely struggle. And I think that's what has happened. And up to now, I think the most senior guys are now the likes of Kinaoyo, who in 2016 were rookies. You see how even for them, they've been actually, it's been accelerated.
We fast-tracked
them to become seniors. And you see, it takes time. These things, people keep thinking it's plug and play. This thing is a process. It's a process that takes time, that you need to respect that process. If you don't respect that process, then we'll start struggling. And that's why we'll have the kind of results we're having. You're having good today, tomorrow it's not inconsistent results.
What about the mental component as well? Because you can imagine, yes, we have all those dynamics that you've mentioned, but also, because it also happened at a certain point when we had the senior players and we had the relatively rookies, but we were still misfiring.
Yeah.
But then something would change.
Yeah.
How can that happen now? Because as much as the transition process is still not too clear, but how can we change that mental? Because you can see it even when the team is playing, there's something, they look almost intimidated to some extent.
Yeah.
Sorry to use that term.
I think it's not that tough. I think in terms of, like you said, there has been season that we have the senior guys, then we have the rookies, but we're still misfiring, which is very true. But I think it comes down to having those honest conversations with each other. I think in the changing room, off the field, you need to have those honest conversations with the coaches as well. I think try to understand what they need at certain times. And you see, for Singapore, for us winning Singapore, we had rookies. Alvin Otieno was still there in the team. He was a rookie. Motari was there, Robert Aringo. All those guys who are considered rookies were still in that team. And then now you had the likes of me, Ambaka, Kayange, Amonde. And you see, there was still that gap. But when they understand their role, and I think credit to the then team manager, who was Newton, he kept on talking to us. And also Benja, the late Benja, kept on talking to us and making sure that there is no big rift between, because if you have a team like that, there's easily you can get a team split between the two, because these guys are up here, these guys are down here. So Benja really tried to merge that gap and made sure he kept talking to us. And you see, when he does that, the mental starts changing. Now even the guys who are just came into the team, they know we can play this game, we can win this game, we can do this. So I think it's just coming down to those honest conversations in the changing room. Yeah.
You are done now. You've had a lot of highs. If you look back, is there a particular regret? Is there one thing you'd wish you'd done differently in your Sevens career, especially?
To be honest, I don't think I would regret. I think the only thing that I would probably say would have made a big change probably now that, and probably numbers with the statistics, would be, I think, if I was more consistent in the team. I've been consistent, yes, but I've been missing tournaments sometimes because of why.
Mind sharing?
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things that you as a player, you like championing players' rights, player welfare. And then you get sidelined, you are being suddenly identified as this the guy who causes trouble. But essentially, it's not trouble, it's just having those tough questions, like I said, honest conversations. If you don't have them, who else will? And I think I'd say probably those times that have really put me out from the squad, I think, when guys are playing, I don't think I would change it, I think if I'm to take back time, I think I would still do it the same.
Allow me to bring one particular instant that stands out in memory. 2018.
Yeah.
What really happened? It was chaotic. There was a sponsor. Then there was no sponsor. And then there were...
To be honest, 2020 is sad. Yeah. How the whole situation was handled, I think, wasn't great. And I've always said this. It wasn't great both from the management side and also how we as the players, I think, reacted to it. Like I said, it comes down to communication. It comes down to those honest conversations. You see, once you tell players this and this is happening and players know that it's already there, it's happening, then we reach that day, it doesn't happen, you give another flimsy something excuse. I think players just got tired about it.
Is it true that you refused to pick a call from the big house?
Nobody called me.
Or is it just a rumor?
No,
we have a lot of legends.
There's a lot of
urban myths that happen here, urban legend.
And you see that thing, I'd say I wouldn't even, what happened in the channel, I wouldn't even point it to one individual. Because it was funny how everything just came about and it was, guys just decided today we are just blanking. Because now how the players were meant to think, they were meant to think that the guys, because you know the story, were meant to think that the sponsor is the problem. And the guys were asking themselves, so if that is the problem, then why are we still having them?
Why do we still have the law?
And I remember it was a very long conversation. And I think the information was relayed way before to the team manager, way before even the tournament started. The information was there. He was told by the players, because we were sitting in a room and the players told him what they think. And I remember for once, I was that guy who was asking guys, if we do this, you know this is going to be bad. Usually it would be the one there saying, yes, let's do this. But I think for once, that day, I'm the one who asked them. Then they said, hey, this one we have to deal with. Then I said, it's okay, it's a team call. Yeah. Let's move with it. And I think it's sad what happened. We can't take it back, but I think I'm hoping we learned lessons. Like I said, it all came down to communication. Believe it or not, we won Singapore without us signing a contract. Because the good thing about that time, we were still in constant communication. And the team manager wasn't, sorry, I was supposed to, the team manager wasn't relaying wrong information just because he wants to manage. He was telling us as it is.
As it is.
Yes, and you see that we appreciate that honesty, because we know when we move forward, we are moving forward knowing that it's going to be tough. But you see, in 2018, what happened is it was just kept stories, lie after lie after lie after lie, and it blew up in Paris.
Let me shift focus briefly. With your illustrious career, of course, for most people felt like you were underutilized in the country, and they felt like perhaps you could play professionally out of the country.
Yeah.
That opportunity actually came once in South Africa, but things turned out interestingly.
Yeah, I mean, I got the opportunity to play in South Africa. I went down to the Stormers, trained with them. Came back for the Safari Sevens. I still don't know if that was the right decision at that time, but I came back for the Safari Sevens. Played Safari Sevens here. Then like a week later, I got a mail from the guys down in South Africa, and they told me that if I'm going back down there, I am not promised a contract. I think I'll have to go down there and train for a period of like minimum 6 months. And then after that, they will decide, because I was very tiny. I used to be a very tiny player. They'll decide if they still need me to continue with the program. And you see, that time, it was a tough decision to make, because I was asking myself, what if I go down there 6 months, then they don't pick me? I would have wasted all those 6 months. And that's the time when now I got the opportunity to go to university and do my PR degree. And I decided, let me do PR, because at the end of the day, when a day like this comes, I might be able to use my papers. So that's how it came about. I decided, let me go to Daystar University. And that's it. I never looked back.
I like how diplomatic he is, because long and short of what they said in that particular email was saying that you were small.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel? Because at that particular time, you can imagine you've been, you're on the cusp of actually playing for a top South African team, a country with so much pedigree in the game.
Yeah.
How did you feel at that particular point?
I felt bad, because they knew I was small, because they've been watching. And of course I felt bad but it's one of those things that you can't do anything about it. I was small. But at that time, South Africa rugby was being true to what they were saying. At that time, South African rugby had very big guys. Even the guys who were playing sevens for South African rugby, most of them couldn't even make it to club rugby. So I understood what they wanted. I think it just depends on what the team wanted from the player.
And maybe because I don't think Gio Aplon is that much bigger than you. Cheslin Colby is definitely not your size. I think he's smaller. But maybe you not being from there.
Yeah, probably would have contributed. Yeah. But I think that time, like you said, you mentioned Gio Aplon. I remember was with him training. Yeah. Even for him, the kind of player that he was at that time, very good player. But he also struggled to make it into that team. So I understood when they said I was small, and that's when I said, let me just go back to uni. Yeah. If I continue playing rugby for Kenya Sevens, I'll continue playing rugby as I try to see what I can do to try and beef up.
So that's then we've moved on, and then along the way you've what's the word? Not transition, but you kept finding new things to do, You've evolved. Thank you, yes. Bernard. You've evolved into this person who cooks. Yeah. What made you decide, I'm a winger, I am the top try scorer in the world. What made you decide, wacha nikachomeka na sufuria?
Na grill.
I would say it's cooking. I've cooked all my life. You know, I come from a family of boys. We only have one sister. And you know, at home, my mother used to make sure everybody knows how to cook. Everybody can pick a duster. You can mop. Basically, all the house chores, we used to do them. And you know, for me, it just came naturally. It's something that I love doing. It's not that cooking, I used to hate cooking. I love cooking because my mother loves cooking as well. And you see, for me, how I started cooking, I was just cooking and started posting online. And then there was one time, I used to post the finished product. I think one time one of the guys in the comments said, Wongo, this can't be you. You are lying to us. You're just buying food and laying it on a plate and then taking a photo. And that's when I had this idea. I should start showing this process, actually, because guys think that I don't, actually. So I started showing the process. And by doing that, of course, even my wife as well loves cooking and loves food as well, like me. So doing that process of showing, because she's the one sometimes recording, helping me record videos, and showing how the meal comes together. I mean, it's just started getting traction. Just getting traction, and true to it, it has brought some revenue. And yeah, I'm not complaining. I think sometimes I wish I should have started earlier.
So Bernard, so he starts cooking, and then he decides on the side, I'm going to become a farmer as well.
Yeah, I think farming has always been in me. Like I told you, I've grown up, my mother loves farming. So I've grown up in a farm setup. And my main thing that I've always wanted to do was pig farming. And you see, I've been postponing. I think I was supposed to start it in 2013. I postponed, I kept postponing. And finally, I think in 2016, I just said, let me just do it. Because let me just start and let's see how it goes. If it goes well, well and good. If it doesn't, then at least I gave that dream a chance. So that's how I went into farming. I started pig farming. Went well, was picking up well until, of course, COVID happened. It's still there. I didn't close. I just had to scale down a bit because now it was getting too much. And then now that I scaled down, now I went into traditional vegetables. Mboga za kienyeji, because I think I saw there's a gap, and during that time is when everyone wanted to eat healthy. They were chasing the mrenda, all this kind of mboga za kienyeji, and I knew these things at home, because I used to my mom used to send them to us and we eat as a family. But then I decided, why not go further and sell and do that stuff, and that's how I came into farm. I came into the mboga za kienyeji.
Of course, when you're venturing into something, it has its challenges. Any challenges that you've faced in your pig farming and your selling of traditional vegetables, something that you've learned?
I think, to be honest, the one that I've really faced the biggest challenge is in pig farming. Pig farming requires a lot of attention. You need capital, because you know pigs, when they give birth, they don't give birth to like one. It comes like 15. So for me, actually, when I started with four sows. And you see, when I started with 4 sows, suddenly they became a minimum. Let's say a pig minimum of those 4 would give, it's 12. Suddenly it's 12 times 4.
That's 48.
That's 48. Suddenly you have 48 piglets. Suddenly those 48 piglets you're winning them. Now they're becoming gills. Then the mothers are again pregnant. I think it requires a lot of capital. for starters. But I think once you get the hang of it in terms of the chain of how you're moving them, then it's good. But to be honest, I'd really advise it requires a lot of... I found myself going back into my pocket so many times.
Right.
Yeah, and then of course now COVID came and just spoiled everything.
Okay.
But yeah, right now I'm still I'm back to stabilizing, so hopefully get back where I was a couple of years ago.
Okay, finally, I think it's important for me to just ask this question. You were celebrated recently in Fiji. Just tell us how that felt, traveling all the way to Fiji in a country where rugby sevens is it's like the way cricket is in India.
I mean, it felt amazing.
How did even that come about?
I got a Facebook message from the guy who runs the tournament. It's called Jay White. I got a message, asked me, do you want to come to Fiji? And that, by the way, that was in 2021. Do you want to come to Fiji and become our tournament ambassador for this leg, for this time? I told them, sure, why not? But he told me, have you retired? He asked me that question. And remember, that's the time when you interviewed me, we were talking about me retiring.
Yeah, you feeling like it was time.
Yes, I was feeling it was time, but then again, I was feeling it's not the right time. So I told him not yet, but if I retire, I'll let you know. The good thing, 2021, that tournament was postponed. And it happened last year now. And he came back to my DM and asked me, are you still interested? I told him, yes, I'm interested in coming down. And at first I just knew I'm just going to be the ambassador. I get to Fiji, the guy tells me now, you know, any ambassador who comes, because they also, apart from honoring Fijians, they honor people who have made a difference in the sport of rugby, because they believe rugby is worldwide, is rugby. I got there, they told me I have to lay a plaque on the streets of Fiji in Sigatoka. And you know, Sigatoka is the rugby town of Fiji. It's where all those players, stars are coming from. And I couldn't believe it. It just felt, like I said, it felt amazing. I really thank them for that, because that is something that will be there even when my kids, sometime when they grow up and decide to take their kids there, they'll see grandfather somewhere on the streets. Yeah, I mean, it really felt really nice. I mean, it's an amazing experience going to Fiji and learning their culture, understanding why rugby is big there. It was amazing.
You promised me I'd get small.
Right,
yeah. So here we go. Favorite tournament of all the ones you went? One.
Favorite tournament. Hey man, that's you can't do that to me.
You have to pick one.
You can't do that. I've played in certain tournaments that of course, that exactly, it's because it's a home tournament. But I think a special one would be, I think, London, because most of my milestones have happened in London. My first try was there. My 50th tournament was there. Breaking the record was there. 200 try. I mean, it has to be Twickenham.
You had many celebrations. Which one was your favorite? You rocked the baby. You had the die. You popped up. Which one?
Rock the baby.
Rocking the baby.
Yes, but then after that, now Wakanda came through.
Favorite try?
Favorite try. Favorite try. Hey man, you can't do that. Can I pick a couple?
You can pick two.
I can pick two. Record breaking try. Of course, that's one. And 200 try. And then there's one in Wellington when we beat South Africa, when I scored the last try.
Yeah. You had many nicknames. Papa Local, Choo Choo Train, Kolo. Which one was your favorite? Where did they even come from?
I don't know. I think Choo Choo Train, came, I don't even know where it came. I just had guys calling me Choo Choo Train. I think because of style of rugby I started playing. I think when I was maturing. Papa Lokole was given to me by one of my very good friends, Horace Otieno, I think. Del Busto, the one who crafted that Papa Lokole. Yeah. I think it's Kolo. He twisted it into Lokole. Papa because I became a dad. So it's just a mixture of so many things. What else? Which other one?
Kolo is Kolo. Kolo is Collins.
Now I'm being called Mr. Walker. You know, it's because of getting involved with Johnny Walker. I mean, it's nice. I think it comes with what you're doing, and I think, of course, like I said, now that I'm doing other things, I think influencing is one of them, and I think getting involved with Johnny Walker is a big thing, and yeah, it puts food on the table, why not?
Right. Colleagues, thank you so much. I think I wish this interview could have been slightly long. I know there's so many questions we'd wanted to ask. I stick around. I think we'll interact with you as we do the next stage of the show. And we're going to the timeline. We look at the interesting things that have been trending online. We'll be having the images shortly on your screens. We'll have this specific one. Of course, this is the local football league. This is Zoya Sugar, the game against FC Leopards. This tells you
huge,
that we can be able to have numbers in the stadiums, Wakabi.
People want to watch football. All people need, all people require is a product. Then people will go out and watch it. You see those numbers and you think, this is great. And the numbers are like that. If you've been to Bukungu, Mumias, Awendo, Awasi, fans come out.
Right.
It's just we need to give them something to come and watch.
Right. Let's have another one here on the timeline. This is something that has been trending, and I love this one. This was a nice dig by Kenya Police. You're talking about local football, and they were playing against Bidco United, and what are they saying, Wakabi?
What does that say? Hawa wanadhani mafuta ya bunduki ni kama ya kukaanga mboga. It's again, remember what they had last week?
Yes.
It was about Taifa Jumapili.
Yes.
So they keep taking digs at whichever teams they beat, and I look forward to the day they don't win again. I'll see what they do, how they turn it, how they flip it so that it's something different.
Okay, let's have another one here on the timeline. Let's see. Now this is on football. Which team do you support Injera internationally, perhaps in the Spanish La Liga or in Europe? Or in English Premier League?
English Premier League is Manchester United. Spanish, it's Real Madrid.
Real Madrid.
Real.
Okay. Now this is a dig at Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who was unveiled as a Barcelona player, and he's been left out because he moved and played for Chelsea as well. Now.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who things are happening really, really fast. I mean, he left Arsenal under a cloud, maybe said not too many good things about Arteta, went to Barcelona, then Barcelona got an upgrade in Lewandowski, and they're like, sorry, go away. Then went to Chelsea, then Chelsea have gotten an upgrade, and they've like, go away. So he seems like to be like the guy who's being moved away, you know? Make room for someone who's maybe better, maybe younger.
Okay. Let's have something else here. On the timeline, we've had a feel of what transpired for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and this individual, of course, is a legend, and he's scoring at those leagues they're called Farmers League.
No, actually, I think the thing here is he should have followed Kolo's move. It's all you'd rather live when you're at the top, when people still are going like, please go on.
Yeah.
Now he's playing football somewhere in a place where we are not quite sure. And he scored a goal, and no one really cares much. Or maybe I'm being too harsh. I think should have taken cue from Kolo.
There's a song, not a song. There's a phrase I'm trying to remember where a dancer, I don't know, does something when the music has. You live when you're in your. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, something like that. Like just live when people still want more.
Yes.
Like Eric Cantona did it. Kolo's done it.
Yeah.
When is that going? I understand it's pension, but come on, come on.
One final one here on the timeline. Of course, what transpired against Casemiro there and Hughes. But was he strangling him or was he choking him? Because I was trying to look at the different angles. They're saying he was holding his collar. But who holds another person's collar?
There is
naturally,
no explanation for putting your hands on another man's neck. None. Zero. Regardless of the intention, it cannot look good. It's not a good look. He went beyond what he should have done.
Kolo?
Yeah.
Alimshika shingo ama alishika kola?
Ndo naiona sahi actually. Bali inakaa kama amemshika kola.
Said like a true Manchester United fan. Away from the timeline, let's take a look at an image that has captivated our attention. And it's all something connected to Collins Injera to some extent. It's involving two players. One is a player from, I believe this should be Cabras.
That's Cabras.
Yes, and Mwamba.
Yeah.
Yes, so this was their Kenya Cup clash. Kolo, yeah. How does it feel sometimes when you're playing at a certain point and then you can tell who you can make it, like in terms of even a defender or some coming to tackle you? What goes on through your mind at that particular point?
Of course, they've heard him. I think for me, it doesn't come at that point. It starts way before.
Okay.
It starts way before, during preparation, during training.
Yes.
I think because you know the opponents you're going to meet. So you start having this kind of image, this kind of pictures that you need in the field. And somehow, I think it's a good thing to develop, because suddenly you get that picture in the field. It's like you've lived it. So definitely you would know how to do certain things. So it's something that comes way before even that.
So you've already seen, because I noticed you're one of the few players who holds the ball with both hands.
Yeah, I think holding the ball in both hands, it's a skill that I think people should have, because both hands means that you can do anything.
Okay.
One hand means you only have one thing to do, go into contact. But both hands, you can pass, you can dummy, you can still shift it.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you can do with playing the ball on both hands.
I know we have to leave, but before we leave, I've got to ask. You said you spoke about being sure about something.
Yeah.
Please tell me about that kick versus Argentina as we wrap. Just why you kick, you don't normally do it, and you didn't even look at it, and you start clapping.
That kick, first of all, I wanted to redeem myself, to be honest. As you know, we had scored, I think Wanyama had scored just besides the post. And it looked like a relatively easy kick. And that time the kicker then, Samuel H, was already, I think he was out. So I was the only guy who could kick who had remained in the field. So when I took the ball, I knew this is an easy kick. When I kicked it, I knew from the moment it left my foot, I knew this is a miss kick. Because I had already taken my eyes up, I had already started looking where the ball was going. And you see that time it was like 1 minute to go. So I missed it. Now we are all level. We get the kickoff. I knew this one I have to concentrate on this kickoff, because it has to go 10. 2010, we tackled, I think Amonde got the turnover. It was a penalty. When we got the penalty, everyone was saying, line out.
Line out.
But I came straight and told the captain, and told Andrew Amonde, I'm taking the shot. And he asked me, yeah, I want the shot. And even Humphrey looked at me, but he kept quiet. And the rest is history. I just said, let me focus on the cues. I need to put my head down. I need to make sure I smack this ball as hard as I can. Even if it goes off, the game will still be over, and we come back for the second, for the extra time. And it happened, went straight, and it felt amazing, man.
And indeed, history was made. Thank you so much, Collins Injera. I wish you had more time to interact with you. Thank you so much for making time to join us.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best in your future endeavors. From the entire team, of course, who made the broadcast possible, myself, Bernard Ndong, and James Okabi, and my director, Mike, and everyone else who has been involved in this production. We wish you a good night. We see you again next week. Continue the discussion online, #SportOn.